Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Morino Ravenberg here again. Yeah, it's live stream time again, and as you can tell, the subject, as I denoted, is that I'm going to discuss how hypocritical society can be when it comes to certain matters, and one of those matters is the so-called war on poverty. The reason that I'm calling it a so-called war on poverty is because, yeah, I mean, it's almost self-explanatory to the point where it doesn't even need explaining. Honestly, I barely need to say anything. Let's be honest. The war on poverty is a joke. I'm pretty sure that the majority of people out there have heard it. You know, the war on poverty. We should battle poverty. Poverty should be eradicated. Blah blah blah, etc., etc. And I mean, for those of you that are still unaware, newsflash: there is no such thing as a war on poverty. There's literally no such thing as a war on poverty because there's no such thing as a war on poverty simply due to the fact that, yeah, how should I put this? There's literally no such thing as a war on poverty, okay? A war on poverty is literally hypocritical because societal structure itself, generally speaking, on a global level, sees the poverty. Poverty is a direct consequence, direct or indirect consequence of poverty is a direct to indirect consequence, one of the two, or both even, if possible, of societal conditioning. I mean, there can be wealth without poverty and vice versa, at least not within a capitalist society. Not that I'm pro-communist. Oh God, no. No, 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 no. I very much love capitalism, but the way that politics makes it come off is as if, or the way that politicians treat poverty is as if it is some kind of disease. That's why, hence the phrase war on poverty. Like poverty is some kind of disease or some kind of enemy that needs to be combated. I mean, if you're saying that you're going to launch a war against poverty or a war on poverty, then that would mean that that basically society should be ideal with no poor people in it, which is complete bullshit, complete and utter bullshit. Obviously, there is no such thing as that because bottom line is that poverty, realistically speaking, based on my own knowledge, poverty can be eradicated. The only thing you can do is simply see to it that poverty is minimized, for example, via welfare programs and whatnot. The only thing you can do is simply maximize and give people as many chances as they can realistically to lift themselves up out of poverty. But you can't eradicate poverty altogether. There is no such thing as eradicating poverty because poverty is part of society. It's a direct consequence of society as a whole and the things that the way that society works, societal structure. Gregory says hello, hello Gregory. By the way, today is what, Wednesday? It's 2:18 p.m. in my location. Again, welcome to the people that are going to join, and the people that have already joined. Although Gregory M is the only one that I'm seeing at this point. Not that I mind. So yeah, continuing on the subject. I mean, it's simply not possible. In communism's case, communists as a theory wanted to create a utopia in which everyone was equal, but that's not realistic. It's simply not doable in a realistic setting. And again, like I said, poverty can be eradicated. The only thing that you can do is to minimize poverty by giving people as many chances and opportunities as possible in order to lift themselves up out of poverty. But you can't eradicate poverty altogether. Poverty will always be there because it's simply a part of society. Poverty can exist without wealth, and neither can wealth exist without poverty. But in poverty's case, it's not so much about material it's not so much about the material, and this is also where the occult or spirituality comes into play. Poverty is also pretty much a poverty is pretty much a condition, a mental condition, or a state of mind. Notice that most people that live in poverty on exactly people that are highly motivated or people that have a correct direction in life. The majority of them are people that just make do with the little things that they have, or there are either people that always complain about not having enough opportunities or nothing when they themselves don't put in nearly enough work, or there are people that are simply parasitic in nature, people that are just revolting as human beings as a whole, simply plain and simply parasites. These aren't successful or well respected people, and so on. That's why even if you were to give them $1 million, for example, that million, they would literally squander that million. That's the difference. Someone that's poor isn't necessarily poor in material resources. A poor person, in all honesty, is someone that is poor from the inside. What you are on the inside will radiate to the outside, or what you are on the inside, or the way you feel, radiates outwards. Gregory says, yes, agree, poverty comes with human nature. Yeah. A lot of people simply think that, yeah, poverty is materialistic in nature. If that were true, then all you'd have to do, quote unquote, all you'd have to do is to give every poor person at least enough money for a year. And you think to yourself, okay, I stem poverty for a year. But newsflash, that's not going to work. There are countless examples of poor people, for example, winning the lottery. I've seen YouTube videos where poor people win the lottery, and I've seen countless examples of where poor people win the lottery, and guess what? 9 out of 10 times things went horribly awry. Why? Because these people that won the lottery are the people that usually play the lottery are parasites. They're not well respected people. They're poor people and they're not doing well in their lives. And things just go bad because the problem doesn't lie with the money. The majority of the people either spend money on drugs, crack, cocaine, they spend it on prostitutes. They just blew through the million that they won in no time. That's that's the problem. Okay, that these people aren't poor because they have no money. They're poor because they lack any kind of real value, immaterial value, and that radiates or shines outwards, and that manifests in the form of poverty. Okay, again, usually the people that are poor are people that are lost. They have no life direction. They have no life purpose. These people are lost in life. They have nowhere they can go to. You name it. These people, they aren't successful. They're not motivated. They're nothing. They lack any kind of positive attitude that can possibly lead them to material abundance, and that's what it's all about. But yeah, of course, it's just nothing but bullshit politics because politicians are like the war on poverty. They're treating poverty again like poverty is some kind of disease or some kind of enemy army or country that needs to be dealt with or needs to be destroyed. But that's never going to happen. You can issue as many you can distribute as many food packages as you want to. You can do whatever you want to, and it's literally carrying water to sea because these people aren't lifted up by your actions. Okay, for these people, your actions, for example, you distributing some kind of food package to them with basic goods, toilet paper, food, canned goods, this and that will only last them for a short while. But that's it. Afterwards, after 2 months, they find themselves in the same shit. They find themselves in the same problems that they found themselves in, all that they found themselves in since God knows when. And like I said, the problem simply doesn't lie with the problem simply doesn't lie with poverty and so on. No, 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 no. But of course, politicians aren't going to explain that because yeah, people are fucking stupid. People are just stupid, plain and simple. I mean, and what's even worse is that the majority of dunderheads out there that don't know any better agree with dumbass politicians. It's like the blind leading the blind into a ravine. And they also believe that poverty is some kind of disease. That there's something wrong with being poor. Being poor is literally part of society. There can be no wealth without poverty, and vice versa. Being poor is literally just an aspect of society. You can't eradicate poverty. You can't eradicate poverty no different than you can eradicate an infrastructure. Even if you were to destroy all the roads in whatever location you live in, even if you were to take care of all of that, people will still find a way to commute from place to place, from home to work and whatnot. It doesn't matter whether they have to go by boat, doesn't matter whether they have to do this or have to do that. The same thing will always happen. And that's called an infrastructure. So you can't eradicate that. Okay. You can't eradicate the fundamental aspects of society. And it's the same thing with poverty. Yeah. Of course, obviously politicians lie. I mean, what the question is, when don't politicians lie? So it's all a ruse in an effort to, distributing food packages. Generally speaking, the governments of countries that do that always do that near election time, or they do it because they want more votes. They do it for this reason, for that reason, you name it. There's always some kind of ulterior motive behind it, but they're not doing it genuinely because they want to eradicate poverty or they want to win the war on poverty. Jason Dunn chimed in. Hello, Jason says poverty is a motherfucker. Yeah, but poverty again. That's simply the case with poverty. Poverty is an aspect of society. The thing is that in society, you will always have someone that is better off than the other person, and you'll always have people adversely that are worse off than others. Um, and that's simply the way it is, okay? Not everyone is going to be motivated all of the time. Sometimes you'll have someone that's hyper motivated, and you'll have other times you'll have someone that is just lazy, someone that lacks the mental attitude, someone that lacks the energy to do something. And as a result, people will have to make do with less. So you'll have an imbalance, but that's normal. That's simply the way the entire universe works, okay? As above, so below, and vice versa, as below, so above. And there is no such thing as equality because, again, a simple example is my neighbors. My neighbors don't have the drive that I have. They don't put in as much work, nearly as much work into accomplishing whatever they want to accomplish, similar to me. Therefore, they don't deserve the same thing as me. As for communism is a huge mistake because communism is completely focused on equal reward, an equal reward system when there is no equality. Okay, people don't like to hear this. Okay, people think that everyone is equal. They like to say that everyone is equal in order to remove any barriers or any kind of arrogance coming from any so-called higher class. But the reality is that no, we're not equal. All men are born equal in the sense that they're simply born. Okay, we're all equal the second that we're born. The second we're born, for example, and the second we die, nothing matters. Social class doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter. Blah, 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 blah. None of that stuff matters. That's why as the saying goes, okay, you can be a king or a street sweeper, but everyone dances with the Grim Reaper. Simply a hint at death that it doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor or what your background is or resources are. Okay, or all of our graves will be the same and we'll all die. Period. That much is certain. And it's the same thing. All men are born equal in the exact second and the exact moment that they're born. But all men are not born equal after that. The second you actually start living your life, you're automatically subject to a bunch of things, your background, whether you come from a middle class or an upper class or a lower class, and not just hinting at money or material wealth or resources, hinting at everything. Okay, educational level, the location you were born in. We're all subject to those restrictions or those expansive opportunities. And that automatically makes it so that some of us are better off than others, whether we work towards it or not, or whether it was just handed down to us on a silver platter. So, yeah, that's pure nonsense, of course. That's all pure nonsense. But of course, depending on whether it's our destiny, taking into scope that there is no such thing as free will, we do have the power to ascend beyond our station, if you will, to not just stay stuck in the rut that we were born in. Adversely, we could also do much worse off, okay? If it's destined, then we're gonna hit rock bottom and you'll be worse off. It doesn't matter whether you were the president's son or the prime minister's son. If you hit rock bottom, you're gonna hit rock bottom. If it's your fate, then that's gonna happen. Nothing you can do about it. So yeah, The only thing that can be done within society is that poverty can be limited. But poverty, the whole war on poverty and eradicating poverty is pure bullshit, because poverty is part of society. The only thing that you can do, the only thing that a society can do, to be honest, is to is to minimize poverty by maximizing opportunities that will enable people to escape or to lift themselves up out of poverty. That's all. Opportunity is in one short phrase summed up. Okay, summed up in one short phrase. Opportunity. Opportunity needs to be created. That's the only way you're going to. The only way in which you can be able to. You will be able to deal with poverty. So that's point one. And point two is plain and simply, you need to come to the realization and acknowledge that poverty will always be there from a principalistic perspective, because because we're not equal. Okay, there will always be someone that doesn't want to do anything, and therefore that person doesn't deserve to be paid as much. It's not possible. It's not just or possible that I work 12 hours a day and my neighbor only works 4 hours a day. I work a lot harder and bust my ass. My neighbor doesn't do anything. And yet what? If I live in a communist society, what? Or in a society that wants to so-called equalize everything, in a so-called society that wants to equalize everything, that automatically I get the same wage that my neighbor does and vice versa? No. There will always be differences. No one is equal. Everyone is different in some way, shape, or form. Some people look better than others. They're more beautiful physical appearance wise. Other people are more motivated than others. Other people simply have a head start on others, either via, for example, parental influence or similar. Others are corrupt, others are just. People are different in every imaginable way. So, no, we're not equal, nor will we ever be equal. Only when the world comes to an end and God just stops everything, only then will we be equal. Because nothing will matter. It doesn't matter how much money you have or whatever the hell you think you have. It does not matter. It doesn't matter whether you're ugly as fuck or beautifully good looking. It does not matter. Or handsome. Doesn't matter. Okay? That's the only time when we'll really be equal, and when we're all about to die, or when we're going to die physically. In a primitive or at a basic at the core, at a basic core or at a basic level. Um, but now for the rest, that's not doable. That's the only way that poverty can be combated, if you will. The only way that poverty can be dealt with. Poverty is simply a negative, albeit necessary aspect of society. It's a necessary evil by pure definition. And another thing that I was going to mention is also that this discussion about what the so-called war on poverty is a perfect example of how hypocritical society can be and how hypocritical society is. Okay, society is just pure hypocritical, and honestly, it doesn't really bode well for mankind. It doesn't really it doesn't really put a smile on your face, but it's the truth regardless, or nevertheless, it's still the truth. And yeah, the truth will set you free, as the saying goes. It uh, uh it just sickens me sometimes that if I think about how hypocritical society is and can be, and that society as a whole pretty much says yes, poverty is bad, poverty is wrong, but they themselves know that they're also subject to the system, and that poverty, although it might be a negative aspect of society, it's still necessary and it's a normal part. Aside from that, like I mentioned before, okay, poverty at an occult level or at a spiritual level simply refers to an absence of astral value, if you will. Poverty is simply the absence of any spiritual or astral value that seated at poverty. Again, as you are within, you shall radiate outwards in this context, at the very least in this context. And that's what I said too. Most people, notice that most people that are poor on people that have strong moral values, or people that have people that have the correct attitude in terms of dealing with money, or people that are willing to make sacrifices and so on. The people that are poor in general are people that either can, generally speaking, there are outliers, of course, and exceptions, but people that generally speaking can't deal with money, this regardless of how much money you give them, are people that are poor in spirit, if you will, or astrally poor. Okay, it's simply, again, it's an occult reference. Okay, mental, astral, physical. If you're poor in attitude, then you're going to be poor in reality in general, and it doesn't just have to focus on the material aspects. But yeah, I've seen it time and time again, and I've experienced it unfortunately myself. But it was also a life lesson, because I myself back in the day was not doing well at all financially, but that was simply due to the fact that I was astrally poor. I lacked any kind of motivation. I lacked any kind of attributing mental or astral character trait, that any kind of character trait as a whole that would bring money my way. You know, I wasn't motivated, nothing. I worked a dead end job because I was simply stuck in a rut. I was simply a mental wreck, and I was simply a wreck, an astral wreck. I was in really bad shape astrally, spiritually, and that simply radiated outwards. And one of the consequences thereof, the material consequences of being in such a bad mental state, or such a bad astral state, or a spiritual state as a whole, was poverty, material poverty. I mean, I was really, I wouldn't say that I was below the poverty line, but let's just say that there were multiple times where I was broke before the end of the month hit, before I got my paycheck, and I still had a week to go, and there was no more food or anything that I could buy, so I had to find other ways to make do. That's how broke I was. That's how bad off I was. But that's the reason for it. Okay. Right now, as ascendant as I am, I have no issues financially, to be honest. But that's an understatement, and people that know me also know that. Gregory M says, anyway, it's impossible to eradicate poverty because it's a mental state in the first place. Yes, exactly. Like I said, Jason Dunn says, hello to the rest. Good to see all of you here. Gregory M says, hi, Jason. The same to you. Equality has never existed. Um, Equality has never existed in all of human history. I agree with that too. We were never equal. Okay. If we were ever equal, then it was in the beginning of time, or similar, when mankind was just created. Oh, Gregorian says, by the way, what triggered the idea of talking about it? Nothing really, other than just inspiration. I just felt like talking about it because it just came to mind. Jason Dunn says, you're spot on. I've noticed such a significant difference working with the big guys. There's been many days when I couldn't be bothered to go to work, today including, but they pushed me to overcome these moments and also develop my will. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Okay. If you're not, motivation, as a simple example, is a positive character trait. And sloth is, for example, one of the seven deadly sins, of course. And people that lack motivation, and you don't necessarily have to be slothful or lazy, but people that lack motivation, these people that lack motivation uh, aren't really going to be rich, because even if you do put in effort, but you don't direct it in the correct way, then you can bust your ass as much as you want. You're not going to accomplish anything. And that falls under a lack of direction, a lack of a direction, or being, or having a life purpose or direction, going the right way, in essence, is also a positive character trait. If you don't have any of these and you have negative character traits, for example, you're just an everyday person and you have no ambitions really, you have nothing, then don't expect to have anything, because these character traits, these astral character traits, will directly create your material reality, and especially hinting at money. If you're someone that's not motivated and you just work a regular job, and you just don't focus on how you can make things better for yourself, okay? Or even if you focus on how to make things better for yourself, you're going about it in the wrong way, then you're not going to get anywhere, okay, generally speaking. And you will not, in any case, you won't be wealthy. You won't, don't expect to see material abundance. So, yeah, but if you develop the positive character traits, you have a good business acumen, you are business savvy. Okay, of course, it doesn't come falling out of the skies, but you've worked long and hard, and through hard grinding, you've developed enough experience to the point where you conduct yourself well in business, and you have just built a business for yourself out of nothing. With you don't even have to have the right need to have the right morals, but when it comes to money, you have the right morals in the sense of the right attitude. You know exactly what to do, keep expenses as low as possible, income as high as possible. You've made so many sacrifices just for the sake of your company, then yeah, you will be well off financially at some point. But um, but keep in mind that even that's not everything. Okay, there's a difference too, a distinct difference between being wealthy and having money. Wealth hints at abundance. Okay, wealth simply hints at material abundance and the joy that that brings you, but the comfort that that brings you. And in another context, I've seen plenty of people that have shitloads of money, but they've acquired it either in the wrong way or wrong ways, or they simply, how should I put this? They simply, they might be good with money and they might know how to deal with money, but for the rest, they are lacking in morals. I've seen these people like that, and these people aren't happy. Okay, an example is that people that will literally kill for money. These people aren't happy. I'm not saying that these people are necessarily ridiculously miserable, but these people are not happy, generally speaking. I've seen it, for example, business owners that literally push the envelope to a disgusting degree in the sense of keeping expenses as low as possible and income as high as possible at all costs. So even if you, I mean, I've worked for companies like that to the point where they work with hopelessly outdated equipment and tools, and they're almost slave driverish in nature. Again, these people might have money, but they're not happy. I can tell. And I can also bet that these people will literally kill themselves for the sake of money. They'll kill or kill others even. And of course, that's where you draw the line, because that's when it hints at immorality. And when that happens, when you're someone like that, you might be materially wealthy, but you're not wealthy. You might have money, but you're not wealthy, and it displays too in their way of life. I mean, they might afford this and that, but these people, generally speaking, don't know how to enjoy their money, and you can tell that they're not happy. They might do, they might drive, a fancy car or fancy cars and have a big house, but they're not happy. Just because you have these things does not, that doesn't mean that it's an indicator automatically of a virtue. Okay, money, the virtuous aspect of money is abundance. It's not about money itself. It's about the abundance and the luxury that abundance provides. Another example is, for example, a drug dealer, someone who makes money in an incredibly immoral way and in a sinful way, and the person's primary motivation is greed. Okay, and of course, greed in that way is disgusting. Okay, one should never be greedy, because greed is a sin, as we all know, and as a result, you can see for yourself. People that, generally speaking, that deal in illegal substances and that make their money from illegal affairs, these people aren't happy really in their lives. I mean, these people constantly have, from everything, from having to look over your shoulder because you're either going to get screwed over by someone, you'll be deceived by someone to the point where you need to look over, you need to be on the lookout for the authorities. You're automatically restricted and not in a good way. So yeah, you can bet your ass that you're going to be unhappy. Life will be literally like you're like a pickpocket, constantly on the lookout for the police, having to sneak around. You have no peace of mind, if you will, and that weighs heavily upon someone, and it can even ruin your life. Oh, Jason Dunn says they've also opened up doors for me to get promoted with sacrifice. It's all about being aware and seeing the signs. Gregory M says, nice. Thanks, Gregory. I hope to have similar results soon. Gregory M says, you will just trust in the process and be aware of signs. No way to deny it when you see it happening. Yes, totally. Thanks. Okay, yeah, good for Jason. Okay, Jason is benefiting from my work, of course, and good for him. And like I told him too, you already know with Jason that this is only the beginning. Okay, just keep at it, and you'll see for yourself. Um, but yeah, those are definitely things to keep in mind. For example, the things that I do, I genuinely gain pleasure from the things I do. The things I do genuinely make me happy. The things that I can afford to do now, things that I couldn't afford, let's just say 6 years ago in a million years. The things that I can afford to do now, these things are genuinely fun. They fill you with a sense of contentment, fulfillment, and joy, and they simply enrich your life. Whereas I've seen plenty of people that have more than enough money, but these people aren't happy. They are ridiculously unhappy, as a matter of fact. People even that resort to things like black magic and curses just for the sake of binding someone to them that has money. Yeah, we all know how revolting people can be. Okay, I've seen women that have bound themselves to men that have money. For example, a girl from the ghetto bounds a guy to her that she had a one night stand with just because she was just too greedy. She couldn't resist temptation, and she'd never be able to make as much money as that in a million years. But are they happy? No. They're married, they have children, but they're not happy. Okay, they look like shit, and it's like there's constantly some black cloud hanging over their head, which is karma, of course, karma from the negative energy the continuous negative energy that she herself brought upon herself, as well as the guy. And it just goes on. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to spend the rest of their lives in pain and misery and agony, and that's no way to live. That's no way to be. It's just that's the difference. They might have money, but they're not enjoying themselves. They might have money, but they're not enjoying themselves. Okay, and like I said, that's what it's all about. Abundance. All of these things are positive traits. They're virtues. Okay, hinting to one's spiritual state of mind. Happiness is also a state of mind, but happiness doesn't come from just telling yourself that you're happy. Nah, that would be unnatural and wrong, to be honest. Happiness, well, not wrong, but misdirected. Happiness literally comes from having more virtues than negative traits. Okay, if you're virtuous enough to the point where your positive character traits, the right ones, outweigh your negative character traits, then you will be happy for the most part. And happiness can also not be measured by smiles or by anything like that. Any kind of exterior display, anything that you want to display to the world to show the world that you're happy. Happiness literally comes from within. Only you can know if you're happy and if you're genuinely content with your existence as a whole. Even if you're not happy, there's nothing wrong with that. But keep in mind that the things that the average person seeks to obtain in this material life, such as money and just wealth and good looks and everything, those things won't make you happy. Okay, if those things are obtained the right way, then they'll make you happy, and they'll also attract the right people. They'll attract positivity, they'll attract more virtues towards them. But if done in a wrong way, will attract in its turn nothing but negativity. So in all the wrong ways you can possibly think of. Jason Dunn says thanks to Moreno and to the big guys, my beloved patrons and friends. Gregory Young says the hard reality of working closely with spirits is that they will give nothing more than what you are able to accomplish compared to popular belief. Jason Dunn says, I really believe to sacrifice and invest in yourself. I'm already seeing amazing results, but yes, I'm working hard for it. Gregory Young, sorry. Based on what you said, the hard reality of working closely with spirits and that they'll give you nothing more than what you're able to accomplish compared to popular belief. Nah, that's arguably untrue. Okay, but I know what you mean. A mundane context, yeah. Okay, don't expect, if you want money, don't expect the spirit to come by and just drop $100,000 in your lap. That's not gonna happen. In a realistic context, the spirit will simply open up doors for you that you either could not open by yourself, or doors that would take you a ridiculously long time to accomplish by yourself, and or things that you simply would have overlooked because you can't see how far he sees. The spirit can see a lot further than you're capable of seeing and can do things a lot better than you could possibly imagine. And that's what it's about. And Gregory M says, yeah, that's what I mean. Okay. Yeah. Listen, even what the example that I gave is realistically possible, but it will take a ridiculous long time to accomplish something like that within a modern magical context. So to the average modern practitioner, it will take a long time. Okay, if you literally just want an angel to come by and drop money in your lap, I'm not saying that it's impossible. It is possible realistically, but it is very far fetched. Okay, and you really have to you'd really have to push yourself far and beyond. You'd have to cross heaven, metaphorically speaking, in order to accomplish something like that or have something like that arranged for you. But it is doable realistically. But again, that's perfectly fine. I mean, that's perfectly fine. What you mentioned, I don't see anything. I'm not saying that you said that, but I don't see anything wrong with the modern way of working. Um, it's simply a matter of what you get. What you give is what you get, and you can accomplish in a year. You can accomplish something that you would never be able to accomplish in 20 years, even. So that's the beauty of it all. And yeah, that's more realistic in a magical context. Okay, magic in essence, in a practical way, a modern practical way, is serves as an accelerant, basically accomplishing something that would take you 10 lifetimes to accomplish, accomplishing something in one lifetime that would take you 10, 100 lifetimes even, and all done within a realistic setting or within a realistic context. So yeah. Oh, so yeah, does anyone have any questions? That's just a topic that I wanted to discuss on yeah, how hypocritical society can be, and as an example, the so-called war on poverty. I don't really have any other topics in mind. Nothing comes to mind. But regarding that, I've seen it all. You know, I've seen my country's local, quote unquote, my country's local government issue it distribute food packages. I've seen non-profit organizations distribute food packages and so on. But it's like one drop on a hot. It's like one droplet on a hot plate. I'm not saying that they shouldn't do it. Of course, applause to them, etc. Keep fighting the good fight. But the question is more: would you be willing to fight a fight that you know you can win? You also need to be realistic and know when to call it quits. You either tackle the problem at the source or you stop altogether because it's little like carrying water to sea. I mean, what do you hope to accomplish? Would you really continue doing that if you knew that you could never fill up said sea or that it would just take way too long? It just, it's not realistic. And like I said, generally speaking, governments just do that to either score electoral points. That's why they always do stuff like that near the end or during elections when that's not supposed to be the case. They basically try to butter up they're trying to butter up their they're trying to butter up their potential voters that they need to remain within power and within office or similar. But no, I would never do something like that in any case. I mean, if I want to make a random donation to some nonprofit organization, then yeah, sure, no problem. But I would never just regularly give my money to any organization that helps the poor unless I know for sure that it's going to the poor, and even then, I wouldn't do so. Um, I wouldn't do so because I wouldn't do so because I I just wouldn't. I wouldn't do so because, like I said, it's carrying water to sea. It's literally like throwing one droplet of water on a hot plate, and you're just going back and forth with no end in sight. The whole point is that you can take care of the problem once and for all. And if you really want to help the poor, then you either set up something, some kind of program that enables people to actually help themselves become less poor or get rid of themselves being poor to begin with, or otherwise to lift themselves up, like I said, out of poverty. And one of the most important things too, and something that I also advise people is to never help never help someone or don't help someone that doesn't want to help himself or herself. Never do something like that. Okay, if someone legitimately wants to better himself or herself, then yeah, by all means, I would be willing to see what I can do for that person in terms of helping that person out, helping out him or her. But I'm definitely not going to stick out my neck and bend over backwards and help someone when that person himself or herself doesn't want to be helped. I mean, it's like carrying a mule to water. You can carry the mule to a water pit. That's a mule that's starving from thirst, but do not force him to drink. If he himself does not want to drink from the water pit, then he can die. And that's also, I'm definitely not going to, no, I'm definitely not going to help someone that does not want to be helped, or someone that's too lazy to help himself and just wants to sit back and, I mean, God forbid, wants me to do the work for him. I mean, that's so full of shit. No, no, no. That's why I don't do things like give money to the poor or anything like that. Okay. I've even vowed to myself, I think people that are watching this, at least some of you can remember, it was around the time of the occult giveaway that I said that I was going to be a lot more selfish, or that I'm just going to be selfish, period. And that I'm way too giving and way too generous. And I've done so, make no mistake, okay? From now on, I'm like a hard ass. I don't really, everything from the smallest things, even. I used to also, when I went to a grocery store or something, I used to leave, I used to tell everyone, keep the change, you know? The second I buy something and the change is below $5, for example, $3 or $2, or it's below $10, I just told them, keep the change, keep the change. Not anymore. Even if it's just 25 cents, it's about the principle. I want my 25 cents. Even if it's a dime, even if it's, doesn't matter what it is, even if it's a cent, it's about the principle. I want my cent. I've changed that mentality too, okay? I've committed a rapid turnover in that regard. And the same goes too for pretty much every other thing. In short, or in essence, I'm just going to spend money on myself, and I would much rather, honestly, I would much rather throw something away that I don't use than give it to someone. There are exceptions, you know. I can give something on occasion to a good friend of mine, you name it, or if he deliberately asks for it. But again, I'm not going to give people stuff in general the way I used to. Just, I mean, I still have a couple of expensive items that I can't really give to anyone. For example, I still have a couple of expensive watches, $300-400 watches that I just don't use anymore. These watches still work perfectly fine and so on, but honestly, not. I've already given so much to Goodwill in the past, so there's a good chance that I'm not a hoarder. I don't like to collect shit, collect stuff. So as an example, if I have too many of these things, expensive items, maybe let's just say if I have $2,000 worth of crap that I don't use or I want to use, then I'm gonna throw it away. You better believe I'm gonna throw it away. I'm not gonna give it to anyone. No, 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 no. It also doesn't really help to know that people are ungrateful. I mean, I more than anyone know that how ungrateful mankind is, and I know that that should not hold me back, and I'm not allowing it to hold me back. Okay, I mean, even Christ, who is with me, has said, "Do good and do not watch back, or don't look back, because mankind knows no gratefulness." People will always be ungrateful, regardless of how much you do for them. I don't mind that. Okay, that's not going to change my good nature. I'm not letting, for example, a couple of disappointing experiences or similar ruin my nature. That's not me. This is at the core who I am. I'm a giving person by general in general, just by nature. But I'm definitely not going to just give stuff to people anymore like that. I mean, honestly, even if someone asks me, I'm openly gonna tell them no. I vowed myself to be a hard ass, and I'm sticking to that. I'm gonna be a lot more business like, and so on. Even if that means that I have to sacrifice a certain amount of mundane happiness. It's basically measuring things. Just I'm not going to superficially please someone for the sake of a brief moment of enjoyment on my time, for example, or at my expense. No, 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 no. Those are just simple examples. Okay. Another example is that if I, for example, had a couple of friends and they can afford to go eat at a restaurant, I can do it once or twice on occasion, but definitely not make a habit of it. I won't recommend that to anyone. Okay. I mean, even if you have to go to that restaurant alone or if you just have to order takeout, do so. I honestly also think that at this point that I might just throw away my money. If I have money, for example, too much money, I'd rather throw it away or burn it or something than give it to someone. This might sound extreme, but nah. This is the correct way to go about things. I mean, because I believe me, I've given so much in the past. I've given so much in the past. Um, Example is last year when I was set to leave to move abroad. I I gave away all of my furniture, all of my stuff in the previous house that I lived at. You name it, everything: bed, mattress, everything, bed sheets, everything, uh, desk, everything. I donated literally all of that to Goodwill with the moving van, a U-Haul van, and that's just one example. So yeah, I've done more than enough, even if I say so myself. So again, my good nature hasn't changed, but I am definitely selfish. Okay, I vowed myself to be a lot more selfish, and I am going to be selfish, not from now on, from the first moment I said that. Period. And I've already implemented these measures in my life. I'm not having any of it. Oh, oh. Jason Dunn says, wow, very good statement. There was a time when I would give to beggars, etc. Now I'm kind of ruthless unless I'm inspired to do so. I've turned savage and stern in some way. Yeah, you need to be savage and stern. This isn't about being a hard ass, okay? Because more often than not, I'm going to give you an example. A beggar that does not deserve to be helped is a beggar that does not deserve to be helped is a beggar that have you ever met one of these hobos or these homeless people or beggars that ask you that tell you that they're hungry, and when you actually give them food, they turn it down and they tell you, no, I want money. Honestly, I immediately get pissed. I have come across these cases, but yeah, that's also why I don't like to give things to the homeless. Even if someone asks me money, I would simply tell that person to fuck off. If a hobo asks me money or similar, I honestly tell that person to get lost. I'm not having any of it, okay? Someone that is genuinely hungry will be more than grateful, even if I gave that person leftovers of what I ate. However degrading it might seem. But yeah, generally speaking, these hobos are just junkies that want to smoke it up instead of just buying actual food. So they literally just ask you for money, as brazen as they are. And honestly, I just want to put my foot up their ass as a direct result, as a direct consequence. So yeah, Jason Dunn says, yep. Yeah, in any case, that's an example, okay? That is a picture perfect example of someone that does not deserve help, does not deserve to be helped. I mean, if you're homeless, for example, you've hit rock bottom, you'll, if you have the right attitude, you'll do whatever it takes to pull yourself up out of that negative situation you find yourself in. But someone that doesn't deserve to be helped is someone that, even if it were me, if I have such a bad attitude, I'd recommend to anyone too that they don't help me, that they just leave me in a corner to rot in my own pool of misery or to drown in my own pool of misery, whatever. Because I don't deserve help, not with such an attitude. Gregory M says, yeah, it doesn't help them anyway. Code 19 says, you have given so much in the past, not only the furniture, your knowledge too. Hi, Morino. Hello, Code. Fans Landry says, so I've loaned money to a friend with 10% interest with an agreement to pay me back by the first of this month. So right now they're in default. I'm thinking to tell my spirits to bother them until what, Fans Landry? Nah, see, you already made a mistake there, okay? I do not lend money to people. You should also never lend money to friends, okay? Even acquaintances, it doesn't matter. Because, see, this is what's going to happen. If this something like this happens, then you're in trouble. You might lose a friend over it because what? Your friend doesn't have any manners and he doesn't pay you back. I had the same thing too. I lent money to an acquaintance because he asked me. And I told him, listen, the only reason I'm lending you money, I don't lend money to people because I know how bad things can get. Okay. I don't lend money to anyone, let alone, let alone a friend or an acquaintance. And I told them, listen, I'm making an exception for you. I already dislike the fact that that acquaintance, the only reason he asked me for money, the only reason he asked me to lend the only reason he asked me to lend him money is because he saw that I had the money. I mean, 6 years ago, he would have never asked me because he knows, Mourinho has no money. So yeah, don't even bother. But now he sees that I'm doing well financially and he is, just jealousy and greed take a hold of him. In any case, I just made an exception for him and I lent him the money. Okay. And then it starts. He doesn't pay me the money on time. We came to an agreement. He tells me I'm gonna pay you every end of the month, the last day of the month. We're pretty much at the end of the first week of every new month, and he only pays me back. I have to ask him for starters, where the fuck's my money? And secondly, he says you'll get it at the end of this week. See what I'm talking about? We made a clear cut agreement. I'm already good enough to lend you money, and you're telling me at the end of the month, and boom, a week goes by and you're a week late. It's already my fucking money, and I'm not getting any interest from it or anything. It's not like he paid me back multifold. For example, a 15% interest rate or something. I lend you $300 and you give me $100 interest on top of that $300. Nope, it was just money. And then he has the audacity to ask me again. And not only that, he's asking me as if I'm some kind of charity, as if I'm some kind of as if he's some kind of charity case. I'm gonna have to ask you for financial aid again. But he knows me, he knows how aggressive I can be. So, and he knows that I don't mess around. So he was really, really hesitant when he called me, and I basically had to drag the words out of his mouth. And I just told him, listen, I only lent you that money as an exceptional case because I know you. If you weren't an acquaintance of mine, if I didn't know you, then I openly would have told you to fuck off. I'm not kidding. I literally would have told you to fuck off. And I'm not gonna repeat myself again. Do not ask me to lend you money anymore. Have I made myself clear? And he was like, okay, it's clear. He had the sense of mind to because he knows that I don't mess around. I really do not fuck around. And he just stopped asking me then. He literally just stopped asking me. But that's my point, okay? I mean, come on. Any sensible person, the second you hear lending people money, let alone a friend, someone that you're on good terms with, it literally says bad idea all over. It says bad idea literally from front to back and back to front. You don't lend people money. Nah, you don't lend people money, okay? Banks lend people money. Whenever someone is stupid enough to ask me something like that, I openly tell them, do I look like a bank? Does it say Mourinho Ravenberg Financial Institution? Does it say credit union on my forehead? No. Banks lend people money. Ask a bank to loan you money. I'm not a bank. So yeah, I don't do stuff like that. No, I don't do stuff like that anymore. I never lent people money, to be honest. I was never, regardless of how bad I was doing, I always had the clarity of mind. Because in my opinion, this is basic knowledge. You don't lend people money. So yeah, that is what I have to say on your matter, Fans Landry. So yeah, this was a bad idea to begin with, and see what's happening now. Now, as a direct negative consequence, it's like you have to chase after your own money. It's like literally you have to, it's you chasing after your own money. And you might lose a friend in the process because you're gonna get angry and you're gonna wanna have to yell at him. And boom, the entire friendship is gonna go sour. But in your case, what I suggest you do instead of just telling spirits to bother him, I would suggest that you just confront him and you put your foot down. You need to be willing to lose him as a friend because God knows that's what I would do. I don't care whether I lose someone as a friend. I will put my foot down and I'll openly let you know without telling you. I don't have to tell you. You'll be able to know right away or tell right away that nah, I shouldn't have done this, and he doesn't give a shit, even if he loses me as a friend. I would easily drop a friend. It doesn't matter. Even if it was just one friend I had, I would, or if it were my best friend, whatever, I would drop you like a ton of bricks, okay? I would much rather be alone, even if I had to be alone for the rest of my life, than have to deal with someone that doesn't honor their word and that is irresponsible to such an extent. But yeah, unfortunately, with the amount of vermin that you have in the world, stuff like this is pretty much common, as far as I know. Code 19 says you're definitely moving into higher frequency, greeting each other, LOL the same. Gregory M says it's always offensive to be told that. Code 19 says money can break people so easily. Oh, hold on. Let me approve a couple of comments. Oh, Jason Dunn says I started cleaning house. Anyone who ain't for me, bye bye. Fucked off all fake friends anyway. I love my own company too much. I agree. Jason Dunn says yes. I can count on my friends on one hand, just a few. Yeah, yeah. Real friends are really hard to come by on a global level. Honestly, real friends don't really exist as far as I'm concerned. I mean, let's just say they exist, but they're very rare. But I also personally, I don't need anyone to stick their neck out for me. If they want to do so, it's greatly appreciated. But I don't need anyone. I prefer no one stick their neck out for me. If I have an issue that I have to deal with, that's my issue to deal with. Even if my neck is on the line or my life is on the line, then it's my life. But I'm too proud to accept help from people. I've never, under normal conditions or circumstances, when lucid, ask anyone for help. Can you help me out? That's just not me. I'd much rather, for example, even if I didn't have any money and I had to go hungry for 2 weeks, I'd much rather go hungry for 2 weeks or eat fucking sand than ask someone for help. But that's just me personally. I'm way too prideful, or too proud to do so. To literally just grapple for someone or just beseech someone for help. No. Just a few. Gregory M says yes. Code 19 says fuck the rest, be the best. Gregory M says same, unfortunately. Jason Dunn says life is so much better when you can rely on yourself. Yes. Vance Landry says, but I have the right to fuck with them now. That's my point. Well, that's your opinion. According to whom? According to you, you have the right to fuck with them. Because what you're doing now, you're turning the fact that you lent him money into kind of like a leverage that you have over him, and you're not supposed to do that. I'm not judging you here. I'm just saying that it's a bad idea. Just if you want to take my advice, knock yourself out. But that's what I advise in any case. Put your foot down, confront him, tell him something along the lines of, listen, I lent you money and I lent you money in good faith. We're friends. We're buds, my man. Okay, we're homies, we're bros, whatever. And yet you disappoint me by not keeping up your end of the bargain and not honoring your word, which pisses me off. So do not ruin our friendship over this. I'm asking you politely, what kind of agreement can we come to in which you actually stick to your word? If you can't stick to your word, then, for example, you don't have to pay me anything back, but I don't want to be a friend. I want nothing to do with you anymore. We're not friends anymore. And from now on, you're pretty much an enemy to me. And just fuck off. That's something along the lines of what I would say. Oh, Jason Dunn says make friends with the big guys. Agree. Vance Landry says, oh yeah, I don't care if I lose the friend. I'll put my foot down. Okay, good for you. Jason Dunn says what you say, Dermot, is so valid. Become completely depending on yourself, self-reliance. Quote 19 says, when you're relying on yourself, it's a certain frequency that most of the Burmans can feel it. It's a state of mind and it feels so good. Yes. All true. Uh, um, yeah. Mhm. So yeah, these are definitely things that you need to keep in mind. And nah, I don't do stuff like that. Lend people money. Nah. Quote 19 says, what's the first thing you do when you wake up? Are there any certain exercises you do? That's a good one. Me and exercise. I don't exercise. Exercise. I don't need exercise. Um, my my power lies within the astral and the spiritual as a whole. So that's what I focus on. That's my forte. I'm gonna stick to that. Gregory M says nice new logo, by the way. Yeah, thanks. I had this logo made because my evolution with the Cairo is going along splendidly. Like I state in, I update the primary article, which is also the main article. I set as the main article on my website, and I updated it a few days ago. You guys can read it if you haven't read it yet. That's the link to it. Um, and yeah, my evolution is going fine. I should be able to. I should be able to. I should be done. Okay, the Cairo should be fully implemented in my being as a whole, mentally, astrally, and physically. So even fusing with my soul. Um, in a couple of weeks' time, and then I'll be at full power. Like I already state in the article, this will be my true magnum opus because I've never felt power like this before. But what do you expect? This is crisis power himself, and I also need to tell you guys. I've already told one or two other people that the spirits that I work with by default, even my patron and my beloved Lord and Vice Lord Samael, my beloved Lord Samael and Vice Lord Sandalphon, they have also distanced themselves because it's a transferal, basically. Uh, in the near future, I will not be working with any other spirits anymore for my own purposes. That is, so no altars or anything like that. It um, no more altars or anything like that. With Cairo, I won't need that. Cairo supersedes practically every spirit that I work with or have worked with combined. So everything that I'll be doing, every working that I'll be doing, that includes for customer, goes via Cairo. Cairo will be the new norm. And like I said, Cairo is literally multitude of times stronger than anything that a spirit can offer you. Result-wise, Cairo amplifies all of my existing energy and work numerous times, as some of you might have noticed, based on the way I look and everything. There's a distinct difference, and a couple of people have pointed that out. Um, so in any case, the benefit is that, and I'll have Christ by my side at all times. He's by my side right now, as he is always since pretty much since I put on this tattoo as a direct measure, and I've been working with him, and he's been guiding me, and he is simply different. Like I said, it doesn't get any better than him. I've been told, and this is my true magnum opus. And even by my standards, this is life changing. And like the article states, even by my standards, me having so much fast experience, the past couple of weeks have been almost close to hell. I mean, I've experienced everything while Cairo is fusing with me as a whole, from bad dreams, nightmares, to incredible neurotic rage and paranoia, imagination being literally at surface level. You name it. It's almost like Cairo is driving me insane, unlike anything I've ever experienced before. But as a benefit too, I mean, crisis power is not like nothing I've ever felt before. It is semi unlimited power. It's power that can't be measured in a normal way or in a traditional way. So pretty much the traditional way I'm used to working, the conventional way, is is in the process of going out the door. Like I said, Jesus Christ does not need an altar. He doesn't need anything. He's just with me always, and his Cairo offers me limitless power. And I also need to point out, for example, like Jason, even the people, even the people that are even my customers that I have existing spirit workings for, all of that continues even without altars or anything. The way it works is that these spirits, for example, Jason, your work with Samael and Metatron and etc., they simply draw their energy, or they'll be drawing their energy upon complete assimilation, my complete assimilation with the Cairo. They'll be drawing their energy from my Cairo, since Cairo is provides me with unlimited energy. They'll be drawing the energy from that in order to help you out, of course. So that's how it works. And yeah, I'll keep updating this article to the point where you know everything comes full circle, and to the point where I'm completely confused with Cairo. Um, but yeah, it's no issues whatsoever. And like I mentioned in the article too, okay, Christ is unlike any spirit that I've ever worked before, because he's not like any other spirit that you can work with. Christ supersedes. Christ is only superseded by God, but and as I've been told, he told me that he was sent because I've proven myself worthy with all the hard work and everything I've been through. I've proven myself worthy of his guidance, and God has instructed him to guide me for eternity until judgment day at least. So even after death, and death is nothing. And yeah, regarding Christ, difference is, like I said, the difference is obvious. There is like I said, the power is unlimited. It's nothing like I've ever experienced before. It feels uh, it feels kind of like a slightly lesser version of God's energy. It's literally, it just feels dark, and it feels good as well as bad at the same time. But that's normal, of course. It just feels like good as well as bad mixed together in a perfect fusion. But I can't possibly um, attach any kind of limit to it or anything. It literally just feels like unlimited power. The only realistic way I could describe it is like it feels like a black hole, kind of like a black hole you see in space in a documentary on space or similar. It just feels like what it is, unlimited power. And the only factor that limits me is the factor that I am like that the factor human, the fact that I'm a human being. He also told me that the only thing that withholds you or creates or places limitations on you is the fact that the fact that you're human, and there's a limit to how much power you can wield and absorb, etc. But still, again, I'm only at 55 to 60% Cairo, and I've already seen results, and they're tremendous. Unlike any other spirit I've worked with success wise. I mean, regardless of how far I had to push myself, let alone when I'm at full power. But he already told me all of that. Like I stated in the article too, Christ's appearance is, realistically speaking, to see Jesus in reality. In Christ is entirely different from an occult perspective. He's beyond comprehension, so he only assumes a form that I am capable of comprehending, and it changes, different in different ways. It changes in different ways. But generally speaking, he simply appears as a medieval sorcerer wearing a beautiful garment, and generally speaking, holds a staff in his hands, and he wears a crown. Generally speaking, again, generally speaking, but it's different entirely. Okay, he is light 1 second and then dark the next. And when I say dark, I mean really dark. Dark as in horror movie dark. I mean really dark, horrifying stuff. Um, Kind of like a zombie Jesus vibe, if you will. and other times it's just the light bringer kind of Jesus we're used to seeing on paintings and so on. The merciful Jesus, if you will, and other times it's just realistic in between. He looks like a medieval king, and the energy is also entirely different. Okay, on the astral plane, Jesus basically makes the entire astral plane shiver or quake with power. Everything from fire to black flames to blue flames to lightning. So yeah, I think I've described enough. Okay, I think I've described enough. So yeah, that's pretty much what it's like, and that's also why in case people haven't noticed, that's also why I implemented Cairo in my entire. Been implementing Cairo ever since a couple of weeks ago. Everything has changed. That's why you're seeing Cairo everywhere, pretty much on my online thingies, on my Facebook page. For those of you that have seen my Facebook page, the banners that I have on my house. I was prompted to do all of this. My YouTube channel, all of it. Okay, my favicon, as you can tell from my website, everything has been changed to Cairo. Everywhere you'll see the Cairo symbol. And like I said, all of my other guys, including my beloved Lord Samuel and Vice Lord Sandalphon, despite the fact that they'll always be there for me, they completely agree with all of this. And they, out of themselves, out of themselves, so to speak, because they were also prompted to, they have distanced themselves. They've distanced themselves for both reasons. They've been prompted to, and they themselves want the best for me. And they also said the same thing. Cairo supersedes everything that we can do for you. Both of us combined. Somehow told me and Sandalphon combined, we don't hold a candle to the Cairo. So yeah, they've also distanced themselves. They're only one thought away. All I have to do is think of them and they're there, of course, just like any other spirit practically that I'm working with. But yeah, Cairo is the future, and they are simply the past, and they will be phased out too. The only person that I'll be working with is Christ, of course. And I'm also pleased with the benefits, of course, obviously. No more offerings that I need to make. The workload on me will become significantly less. I pretty much don't have to do anything. I have this with me and the power that I have with me. I just have it with me always. So no temples, no altars, none of that. Christ is always with me, and I always have access to this power. And as time passes, I will only become stronger, a lot stronger, he's told me. And all of my accumulated energy, all of the things that I've worked towards have been greatly amplified. That's why I've also been noticing that my tattoos radiate more energy than usual. For starters, that's why you guys notice everything right away, okay? When you look at my arms, my tattoos, just looking at it like this, the first thing that what's the first thing that you notice, okay? When going like this, the first thing that you notice is Cairo, right? The tattoo that you notice, the first that stands out the most is Cairo, and there's a reason for that. That's the reason, because Cairo radiates a tremendous amount of energy compared to the other tattoos, and it also amplifies the energy and the effect of all the other tattoos. I started noticing that too. Um, I didn't notice it in the beginning, but after a couple of days, I said to myself, there's something different about this. The second I had the tattoo placed, I felt that limitless energy, and I was like, oh, I felt that void like energy. And I'm like, I was like, huh. And I just felt it, and I said to myself, there's something different about Cairo, because I hadn't come to full terms with it yet. I was prompted to do so, and I was hesitant in the beginning. I was like, nah, I don't really want to, because I'm just done. And I thought to myself, I'm going to continue on and on and on and on and on with tattoo after tattoo, and I don't want that. Just said to myself, I'm done. But the others also told me, believe me, this is not something, Samael and so on, they told me, no, this is not something you can pass up or will want to pass up. You'll see for yourself. And I was like, okay, fine, fine, I'll go put it. I placed it, and it's also not a coincidence that it's on my right arm. It's on my right arm, not my left. my right arm. I'm assuming most of you know what I mean, or you guys know what I mean. The people that are watching this. And I noticed too that there was something different about it. I said that this tattoo radiates a lot more energy. It stands out immediately. The other tattoos, they kind of come off as vague compared to the Cairo. You know, they're vague in nature. They stand out, of course, but they're vague in nature. But with the Cairo, it's like it's constantly new. You can tell the difference. Okay, even now, look, see, it's hair is already growing on it. It's already been a couple of weeks, but the Cairo seems like it's eternally new. It's like I just had it placed last a couple of hours ago. Whereas with the others, you can tell that they are relatively old, you know, that it's been a while because the ink doesn't fade, but the tattoo fades slightly. But with Cairo, that's not the case. And I noticed that right away after a day or two after I placed it. And yeah, of course, my Kundalini is completely going nuts. I feel the energy just shooting completely up my spine like no other. And in any case, that's why Code 19 asked me that question too. So yeah, that's pretty much it on the Cairo. And I'll be updating this article that I sent to you people. I updated it only what yesterday or so. Yeah, I updated it yesterday, so I'm also gonna continue updating it. I'm gonna continue updating it, and that's also why you see it implemented everywhere on my website. Even I removed my old logo, and my new logo has the Cairo. So no more plain and simple Marino Ravenberg. You know, from henceforth, not from this moment on, but from the moment I put on the Cairo defines me, and the Cairo has come to define me, and I love the fact that the Cairo defines me. So that hence the new logo, and this will be my new logo from henceforth. Let me see. Jason Dunn says, yeah, I'm enjoying this live stream. I've definitely become more harsh. This is from beloved Samael. Yes, it is, Jason. Love the new logo. Konatin says in the profile picture on your website yesterday, standing on a cannon laughing. It's pretty funny. Laugh my ass off for some reason. Good vibes. Yeah. No, I was just messing around. I was in a place in Suriname called New Amsterdam. It's kind of like it's the only thing that comes close to a park here. So if you want to go to a park with a naturistic scene and the coast is right there, I think 10 or 20 kilometers away is the Atlantic Ocean. And yeah, those cannons are all Dutch cannons that the Dutch placed here in colonial times, back in World War One and Two times when Germany posed a legitimate threat. They simply had those placed as an anti-naval measure, a war measure, as a defense measure, of course. But they're really old. I just stood on it for laughs, and I told a friend of mine, "Hey, take this picture of me. It makes me laugh so much. I'm just gonna pretend that I'm looking, you know, far off in the distance." Oh, and what were you looking at in the picture? Looks like you were watching live porn. Nah, I was just pretending to look off in the distance, in the sunset, into the sunset, kind of like an ahoy matey kind of pirate thing. But I couldn't withhold a smirk, a brief smile. So that's why, hence that. Jason Dunn says, very, very good. That's great news. Gregory Am says, Jason Dunn says, I'd love for you to either do another article or video on this topic. Jason Dunn says, so pleased with your success. Code 919 says, are the side effects still there? No, these side effects are temporary. The current side effects that I'm experiencing is that my back, the middle of my back all the way to my shoulders, where all my spiritual energy resides or manifests, is still partially paralyzed. I can turn my neck now normally, but there's still some remnants there. It still hurts a bit, but not that I mind. And for the rest, imagination is really at surface level. You know, sometimes I think a spirit is talking to me when that's not the case, but thank goodness I can distinguish the difference. But yeah, you need to be sharp in order to distinguish fact from fiction when a spirit is really talking to you or when it's just your imagination. Anything, you know, for example, if I am half asleep, my imagination will try to play tricks on me in the form of a friend messaging me when that's not the case. And when I wake up, for example, I'm no longer half asleep, I'm awake. I just check my phone and I see that no one messaged me. These are all examples. Imagination is really at surface level, and paranoia is also peaking. I've never been this paranoid in my life. There are moments where I really think that things are going to go wrong, and it's almost scary because I've never experienced this level of paranoia. But Christ has told me that all of this will pass. Okay, these are just side effects, and like I said, I have a couple of more weeks to go until Cairo has completely fused with my essence as a whole. Um, Jason Dunn says, well deserved. Is it like a void where everything comes from and returns to? Yes, but yeah, that void is God Himself. Gregory answers, very interesting. Eric Anderson says, hello, just wow. Code 19 says, what drove you to Cairo? What intrigued you before you ever knew about it? Nothing. That's the whole thing. Okay. I remember seeing Cairo too, briefly, because in a Roman event, I think most of you are unfamiliar with, called the Battle of Milvian Bridge. It was when the Roman Empire became too large and they split it halfway. And then you had, that's when the Byzantine Empire started. You had Eastern Rome, which was Byzantium, with Constantinople as its capital, and Western Rome with Rome as its capital. And you know, they just couldn't see eye to eye. And at a certain point, the two emperors tried to screw each other over. And then you had Constantine the Great. He was the ruler of the Eastern Roman Empire, so the Byzantine Empire, and he had someone else. I forgot his name, and he got a vision that in the sky of the Christogram of the Cairo and the cross, or one of the two, or both of them, or the Cairo, I think. In any case, just the Cairo. Christ says, yeah, just the Cairo. The cross and so on is just from mistranslated sources and miscellaneous shit. Yeah. In any case, he saw Cairo in the heaven. He received a vision, and he saw Cairo in the heaven. And the Latin phrase in hoc signo vinces, which means in this sign thou shalt conquer, or just in this sign, comma, conquer. And he instructed all of his soldiers to place the Christogram, the Cairo, on their shields and everything. And as a result, he won the battle, and entirety of Rome fell under his control or under his rule. And this is a significant religious event because it marks the end of paganism in Rome. Rome was basically the superpower at that time, similar to the US today, or any major country. But yeah, let's just say North America as a whole. And up to that time, Christians were still persecuted and whatnot. And that simply marks the rise and beginning and rise of, or consequent rise of Christianity and the end of paganism, because the Western Roman Emperor was primarily pagan. They worshiped pagan gods like Jupiter and so on. And they simply stopped. You know, Constantine asked the Pope, because he asked the Pope for forgiveness, or someone similar to the Pope, in any case, the religious Christian leader at that time. Back then, they still persecuted Christians heavily by throwing them into lion pits and shit and torturing Christians. And Constantine the Great asked this religious figure, or the Pope, what he can do in order to honor Christendom and Christians as a whole. And the basic demands were simply allow them to worship and to lead lives freely and to erect churches and so on. And Constantine allowed all of that. And from that moment on, Rome as a whole became majority Christian, became primarily Christian, with pagans simply being exiled and ousted from any position holding power, and just being paganism just being wiped out pretty much. So yeah, that's the backstory. I had seen all of this, okay, because I love watching medieval battles and scenarios, you know, especially from medieval times, because battles back then came out to skill in warfare and so on. But it just hadn't drawn my attention. But like I said, this just Christ just approached me and and told me to place the Cairo on my place. Told me to place the Cairo on my body, and I had it placed on my right arm. But that was also not a coincidence. And he keeps reminding me that in this sign, the same thing, you know, he keeps reminding me of in hoc signo vinces, and he keeps telling me that I will conquer the world if I want to in his sign. Well, not even if I want to, that I will conquer the world in this sign, not literally, but in a metaphorical context for which I'm destined, accomplishing all the goals that I see fit and whatnot. Let's see, what else? Did I forget anything? Um, let's see, nothing else comes to mind, but I'm getting the feeling almost I'm forgetting something. So no, that's just it. Okay, so the same thing applies back then, and that's when it really resonated with me. And like I said, the rest just happened automatically. The rest just happened automatically. Oh yeah, the thing. Oh yeah, the one last thing that I forgot to mention too is that this was pretty much bestowed upon me, and that I really don't have a mundane choice in the matter. And he made that clear to me too, because I don't command him. It's rather him guiding me. But I still have, of course, choices in mundane affairs that are optional. So if I want to do this, I can do this or not. But my fate is pretty much sealed. That's why you saw me integrating everything. I'm not the kind of person that really makes such quick decisions in the sense of hey, adopting an entirely new thing. But the power is simply irresistible, and it just drove me. The power and the influence is simply irresistible, and that in turn drove me to do everything that I've done to this point. And even the things that are optional, I find myself not being able to say no to Christ. So pretty much everything he tells me to do, I do, regardless of what it is. But of course, it's all for a good reason and a valid reason. But like I said, it's vastly different. Okay, but that's normal because I do not have the authority to command Christ. Okay, I'm not commanding him the same way that you command other spirits in the name of God. Only by God's grace can I command Christ, but God does not allow that, so to speak. And Christ's guidance is enough. He's telling me, and that's it. So Christ is basically like my mentor, but he's not. It's not a matter of I command you to do something. No, 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 no. I don't have the authority to command Christ, not by a long shot. Even someone like me, I don't have the authority to command Christ, not by a mile, not by a million miles, even, or a never-ending set of miles. Um. So yeah, this is just me being directed to where I am being directed towards. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I'm no longer Master Morino. I'm just playing Morino. If I am called Master, it's just for the sake of politeness. And yeah, Christ asked me to bow to him, I think a couple of days ago, which I did, of course. I went on my knees. He did so too, but he did it purely out of politeness. And I did it out of necessity. So that's the difference. Like I said, this is an entirely new. I'm 33. I turned 34 at the end of this month. This is an entirely new thing for me. This is an entirely new part of my life that is unfolding before my eyes, and that will have permanent decisions for the rest of my life. Let me see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Gregory answers good question. Hi, Eric. Yo, Eric. And Christ, of course, tells me that he's very pleased with how honest I am and how profound I can explain things, and he appreciates my faith in him, etc. Graham says good question. Hi Eric, yo Eric. They're greeting each other. Eric Anderson is laughing because Code 919 is retracting his messages again in an effort to mimic him, or not messages, just one message. Code 919 says the first thing that stands out is the Cairo, and that's why I asked about it first. Very unique and outstanding, void-like energy, and something different about it. I know. Code 919 says Morino Cairo Ravenberg. That's a good one. No, Christ says that it's not a bad idea, but it's not necessary because Cairo already embodies me. Gregory M says, I can't believe how your magical evolution is fast since your old videos. Eric Anderson says, I know your final tattoo, Alpha and Omega symbol. No, that's not necessary. Okay. The Alpha and the Omega are simply add-ons, but the Cairo in its purest and most original form is just that. Code 19 says, you're pretty good at history. Code 19 says, when you see a beautiful girl, there's some kind of sensation happening within you. Anxiety, mostly like an automatic trigger when you see a beautiful girl. How to get rid of that sensation? Eric Anderson says, you deserve it, your master. Code 19 says, I always knew you don't bow to any spirit or an entity. It's surprising that you bow to Jesus. Cairo is better than Carlo, just a little tweak. That is actually funny, Christ says. That is actually funny and cleverly funny, even. Uh, so, does anyone have any other questions? Oh. No, I don't see any other questions. It's 1:30. Oh, it's not 1:30 p.m. I've been streaming for an hour and a half now. Oh, local time is 3:45. So yeah, I don't really have any other questions, but I do like my Cairo more. I do like the new symbol more than the old symbol. I'll also be updating the old symbol. Uh, in the embedded video in that Cairo article once upon full assimilation. Yeah, upon full assimilation. The original one that you're seeing with the reddish background with the Cairo and in Hoxignoensis over it, that was an introductory, kind of like a beginner's logo. But now that I'm more experienced with the Cairo, I still have a good way to go, a long way to go. Quote 19 says, upon full assimilation. By full assimilation, I mean that that Cairo is in the process of fusing with my with me as a whole. So even my soul is being fused or is my soul is being branded, if you will, or fused with the Cairo. So mentally, astrally, as well as physically, and that takes a while. And I'm not at full power yet. Right now, I'm at 55 to 60% power. So I still have a couple of more weeks to go, and yeah, once I'm at 100% power, then yeah, I'll pretty much be 3 to 4 times to 5 times as strong as I am now, and I'll even become stronger as time passes. As Cairo pretty much embodies me and envelops me. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Um, like I said, this is unlike any other energy before. Basic theory behind, not theory, but the basic way that the fundamental way that magic works is via astral energy, but nothing touches your soul except God and whatnot. And it's just astral energy. If you work with any general spirit, but Cairo is entirely different. Like I said, it's entirely different in its own right. So that's also why it's been so hard for me. I mean, all of the things that I have experienced in the past combined with now is at the very least just as bad as what I've experienced in terms of side effects in the past month, in the past couple of weeks. So yeah, everything from everything from that I've experienced in the beginning of my practice as in terms of side effects. Okay, so yeah, at the very least the same, but arguably, in my opinion, worse. I haven't felt this kind of pressure on me in a while. Although the pressure has subsided a bit, I haven't felt this kind of pressure exerted upon me astrally in a while. And yeah, I I can sense my soul, if you will, but even my intuition is being merged with Cairo. And beforehand, it was more. My intuition was more Samael-like in nature. It was fused with him, but even that took years because it was a recent development. But yeah, in that short while, Cairo has taken over every fiber of my being, pretty much. And rightfully so, of course. Uh, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Uh, Quote 19 says, seems like Cairo is master of manipulating astral energy. Eric Anderson says, wow. Quote 19 says, I've thought Samael himself is a superpower, but Cairo is mega superpower, like an upgrade. Yes. This shouldn't be a surprise to those of you that are unaware of it, okay? I mean, this is literally God's power, but God's son's power, if you will. I mean, the hierarchy, not that I'm completely sure of the hierarchy, but the hierarchy is him, after that, his son, and then the rest follows, from the Holy Ghost and blah, 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 and so on. But yeah, like I said, it doesn't get any better than Christ, okay? It will not get any better for me, uh, which I'm fine with, of course. Well, I mean, even this in itself is already a tremendous honor, but it's already a tremendous honor. I mean, you could say arguably that God Himself is supposed to guide me, but no. God states clearly that He does not do so. In any case, He doesn't do so anymore since the old days. And that's why He has an unlimited amount of spirits to guide anyone that needs guidance. And I am deemed worthy of His Son's guidance. Until Judgment Day comes and eventually eternity. Code 19 says, why is the Fiverr web shop link removed from your website? I removed the Fiverr link because for the web shop, I still have my web shop link, as you can tell, but it just redirects to my magical surfaces for hire link. There, people have a better overview of everything that I can offer and just everything as a whole. In terms that I offer with links and everything. If it doesn't matter what they want, if they want an astrological reading, e-courses, my egregore store, you name it, everything. It's more informational than the Fiverr link, and let's see, Fiverr is also not the primary way that I work anymore. My primary market via which I work, people approach me in a more personal way. So that's why I removed it. And the other reason I removed it too is because I had to make way for Cairo. My magical surfaces for hire page was my sticky page. That one was displayed as the first page that you see when you visit my website. But now it simply had to make way for Inhoxignoensis. It has to make way, and it has made way for the Cairo, which goes above all, of course. Code 19 says, so Samael himself is under the hierarchy of Cairo. Yes, of course. Every spirit that you can imagine, okay, all of them fall under him, fall under Christ. All of the angels, all of them fall under him. And the only one that supersedes him is God, of course. So that's it. He showed me this too, and it's very different. Like I said, the only thing that's holding me back from full ascension is this mortal coil. It's the fact that I'm a physical person and I'm still restricted according to the rules of the universe, but that's okay because he's also telling me to not be in a haste to die soon or to not be hastily everything in its time. And it's all part of the process. Ascension is earned and everything, not just given, although I've already earned a tremendous amount. But I'm just going to be patient as I've always been, and everything will come in time. One day I will die, of course. I know around which time, unless God changes that. But nah, the standard rules are set in place, at least for now. And in any bottom line is that one day I will die too, and once I do die, I'll be one step closer to full ascension until I fully ascend, and yeah, and I'm there. Quote 19 says, "Desires run the mortal coil. When you're out of desire, there is no mortality." Yeah, that is true in a more primitive context. Although, even after death, in the astral plane, your astral body still has desires. Your soul is the only thing that doesn't desire anything except for unity with God. But that can't really be. That is arguably that is seen as a desire in a human context, but not so much on a spiritual level. Eric Anderson says, "Enjoy your life." So yeah, does anyone have any other questions? Mm. Code 19 just coming to the coming to the topic of the live stream itself. What made you make this today? What made you make this today's topic? No, I just nothing else other than inspiration. I was just discussing poverty because the thought. It wasn't the first time, but it is the first time that I've spoken about it in a live stream. I can't remember talking about it in any other live stream. I I just can't remember it in any other live stream. Doing it in any other live stream, having done it in any other live stream. I was just inspired to do so. I thought to myself, this is a good topic, discussing how hypocritical society can be and the whole bullshitting of war on poverty, because I think I saw that somewhere and I was like, holy shit, look at this crap, war on poverty. Can you believe this shit? It's just, it's just, Code 919 says war on poverty, LMAO. Yeah, exactly. So hence the subject that poverty is literally part of society and all of that. Just rewatch the entire stream from the beginning and you'll know. You'll hear all of my thoughts on it and whatnot. Mm. So yeah, does anyone have any other questions either on anything that you had that you wanted to thingy off your mind, anything that you had on off your mind, anything that you wanted to get off your mind, or anything? For example, the things that I've discussed, as well as the things that I haven't discussed on this live stream. I don't think that I'll be having this live stream. I don't think that I'll be having this live stream. That this live stream has any longer to go or long more to go, because I simply how should I put this? The live stream is I don't think the live stream is going to last a lot longer because I'm pretty much spoken out. I'm done with talking. I'm outspoken, if you will, and it seems like you guys don't have any other questions. And plus, I'll be heading out back soon to escape the blistering sun and the heat, uh, and I'll be retreating to my hammock. Konanajin says the thoughts, objects around you, the sounds, the people around you, the environment you're in, the clothes you wear, all of these things add up to your frequency and ascends you to higher frequency. Well, clothes and other material possessions and people around you, yeah, sure, but in an indirect way. You are still the main. You're still the main catalyst. Quote 19 says, when people realize this, no one will be poor anymore. Oh, that's what you mean. Yeah, but like I said in the beginning, long story short, your poverty is a state of mind, or poverty is caused by a state of mind. If you're poor from within, as in lacking morals and lacking the correct attitude, then you are going to also be poor materially. And just having money doesn't mean that you're wealthy. There's a difference between wealth. Wealth is simply material abundance obtained in a correct way, and having money is simply something different entirely. There are plenty of people that have money, but these people are unhappy. Someone that does something immoral or illegal, that does something to achieve said goal in terms of getting money, someone that makes his or her money in such a despicable way or simply an unjust way, whether it be corruption or otherwise, will not be happy. At the very least, not in its fullest or to its fullest extent, because that person will feel restricted by what he or she has done. Gregory answers, what will happen to altars and gifts? Did you miss that? Did you go offline? I'm just asking. Did you go offline momentarily or briefly? Because I already said that. With the Cairo, it's not like I won't need any of that stuff. So none of that will be present in the near future. So no altars, no nothing, no incense, no oil, none of those things. I can still burn those things just for recreational purposes, but no, I won't be needing those things in the future. Okay, Cairo does not work like that. Okay, crisis energy is supersedes all of that and is not subject to those things. So no more offerings need to be made, no temple, no nothing. His power is with me and he is with me always. From the second I had it placed on I had a tattoo placed on me, and it's in the process of being integrated into my life and existence as a whole and into my being as a whole. And yeah, from now on, all magical operations will primarily go via my willpower. So simply stating my intent. Mm. And yeah, it will happen. Gregory answers, but what are you going to do with all of those things? Yeah, that's a good question. I already thought about that. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. All of my swords from my Lord Samael, his sledgehammer, the shield, you name it. So all of my vice lords, wealth items, giving all of it away to goodwill. It's actually not a bad idea. I can use it too, they say, if I want to, up to the extent that I want to use it and I'm able to use it. But for the rest, regardless, everything will be done away with as I see fit. They say. Code 19. Code 19 says state of mind indeed. Fuck yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. State of mind. Code 19 says when it comes to sound, look at the songs you're listening to when compared to old depressive songs. It's evident that sound change your frequency too. Yeah. Code 19 says use them to kill vermin. Eric Anderson says last live stream maybe. Mm. No, you guys don't have to worry, okay? Live streaming won't stop. I uh, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to give anyone hope, but there's a chance that I might pick up the mantle again in the sense of committing to new projects. Because with this Cairo energy crisis told me that all doors are open for me and that things that seem far-fetched and impossible are realistically possible in the intermediate to short term, even depending on the goal. Basically, the world is mine, so to speak, and I can pick up all the goals that I had set for myself. And I mean, there has never been a more higher success rate or a more favorable time to do any of these things. With Cairo, I can pretty much do anything. So I might pick up things again. All the things that I did in the past, and when I told you guys that I'm not going to do these things anymore because otherwise I'll just keep being busy with new projects for the rest of my life. But I might pick up everything again and start treasure hunting again, and have master the ability to be able to track down missing items or people and help global authorities in solving cold cases, and the entire bucket list of goals that I had set to myself, inventing something, time traveling, all of these things. I might pick up everything again because I find it really hard, especially with Cairo, to 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 keep saying no to any of these things. It's just hard. It just keeps becoming more enticing and enticing. I spoke to someone about it yesterday because the opportunities and the potential is just, it's almost too good to pass up, realistically speaking. But yeah, in any case, Quote 19 says there are infinite topics to talk about. I think live streaming would never stop as long as Mourinho is alive. Gap between streams may extend in future, maybe. Gregory Am says he agrees. So yeah, and that's that. So yeah, anyone else have any questions or anything you want to get off your chest, or any other body parts for that matter? Hmm. Quote 19 has an interesting question. Yeah, go ahead. What do you want to ask? Uh, Kunal says, how is Cairo energy when compared to Indian cab drivers' energy? I knew you were going to ask something stupid. Where I thought he might ask something profound, nah. It has to be something fucking stupid. Only someone like you, Code 919, could think of something like that. Something that's stupid. And all the others are laughing too. Yeah, Indian cab drivers' energy. I don't really know what to tell you. Quote 919 says it could annihilate him. Nah, the Indian cab driver is already long done, and he's too afraid to even talk to me anymore, which I find immature, of course. But yeah, he's not the strong-willed. He's not the most strong-willed of people. So yeah, Quote 19 says Moreno's energy itself made him cry. I don't really know what to say, but all I know is that I don't want him near me anymore. I don't want that kind of weakness near me. It just repulses me. That kind of weakness is just disgusting. Blech. Um. So yeah. So any other questions? I'm assuming that no one has any other questions anymore. So yeah, almost 2 hours. Okay. Eric Anderson says use Moreno's super weapon. No, okay, nah. But in all honesty, guys, I think that's pretty much it. So if no one has anything else, oh, Goat 19 has another interesting question. Fine, go ahead. Gregorium says nope, no other questions. Goat 19 says, have you seen Margaret recently? Gregorium says bye, guys. Bye, Gregory. Who the hell's Margaret? Who's Margaret? Who's Margaret thingy? Quote 19 says the dating company woman. Dating company? I have no idea who you're talking about. That dating company woman? What dating company? Old job. It's not a dating. The woman who had a crush on you. Oh no, that's not a dating company. That was the first company I worked for. That was a security company. Hmm. No. What do you want from her? To be honest, I mean, no, I haven't seen her recently, and I don't want to see her. I don't want to see her old ass. So no, she might have had a crush on me, but the feeling isn't mutual. She's a nice woman and all, and she, she might have been a knockout in her day, but she's not anymore. So yeah, my interest is also not there anymore. It's too bad that I wasn't able to experience her at my age, but it does not matter regardless. Cool. Nanatin says old ass and fake boobs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Eric Anderson says hyena maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Listen, enough bullshit. So, okay, I'm done, you guys. I'm going to say goodbye in this way. You guys know what that sign is, and I would say ciao. Bye bye.